What's going on, guys? My name's Jag, I'm a men's dating coach, and today I'm going to be talking to you about 3 weird tips for your first date, so keep watching. So, before I get deep into it, if you're someone who's struggling with dating, if you're struggling to find your ideal partner, if you're a man who's scared of rejection, if you're someone who lacks confidence, the courage to go on dates, to go and ask someone that you like out, and if you're someone who's actually also going on dates, multiple dates, but you're struggling to find someone that you like, and you're struggling to find someone who matches you and who's compatible with you, if that's you, if you resonate with all of that and more, then make sure you check the link below and book a free dating on demand coaching session. It's essentially a diagnosis session where I find any core blocks that you have, help clear them, and essentially you can move forward and find your ideal partner. So if you're interested, make sure you like the link below and book in a date, and I'll see you on the other side. So, 3 weird tips. I say they're weird because they're not often given out, especially in the dating world. They're often new concepts, and to be fair, some of you may have already heard of them, but let's go straight into them. The first one is being present. A lot of you want to go on dates and you rehearse a lot of lines, you're anxious, you're nervous, you're struggling to articulate what you want to say because the person is in front of you and you might find them really beautiful, and hence why you go into that nervous panic. And there may be other reasons. Maybe you're scared of rejection, maybe you really want to impress that person, and so you really try hard to come across as confident, to come across as this masculine alpha male, whatever you want to portray yourself as. But in doing so, you actually come across as disingenuous, you lack integrity, and you also come across as someone who's being fake. And sometimes this works. Sometimes this works in your first date where it works well, the person is interested. But as the dates go on, you find that you no longer are able to keep on that persona. Your true self comes out and it clashes with the other person. And eventually, yes, you may get laid. Yes, you may go on multiple dates with multiple women. But you find it hard to actually meet someone who you really like, who accepts you, who you can be yourself with. You find it hard to click and find that chemistry with someone in front of you. And a lot of times it's because you're being fake. You lack authenticity. You're not being yourself. And yes, in some cases we want to build confidence. We want to be a new version of ourselves, and that's perfectly okay. And that will require you taking practicing on dates and going out there and practicing that version of yourself you want to be. But equally, sometimes you try so hard to be someone we're not, it fails miserably. And what you want to do instead is practice being present. And this is tip number 1, being present. Learning to practice in the moment, being relaxed, being calm, being grounded, being in the moment. And when you can do that, when you can be in the moment, when you can really express what you want to say in that moment, as opposed to calculating in your head, what happens often is you come across as more confident naturally. You come across as yourself more naturally. And it may be hard to understand now when you're going through anxiety, when you're struggling on dates. But the more you practice being present, being in the moment, you'll find that things are much more easier and flow more in the dates. You'll be more present, for one, and through that you'll be able to listen to the other person, you'll be able to respond to the other person, you'll be calmer in the way you speak, you'll be more comfortable pausing and not having to speak all the time. You'll find the right words, sentences all flow within you and come out. And like I said, it does take practice. So if you've never been on a date and you're struggling with dating multiple women right now, you don't find you have any dates, yes, when you eventually find a date, when you eventually go on dates, you'll find it's very difficult to practice this because you haven't had any practice. So in the moment, you may panic, you may feel anxious. But the more you practice this, the more you start to embody that presence, the more you start to really be more calmer with yourself, the easier those dates will flow. And if you're someone who watches the pickup stuff, a lot of times they tell you lines you can do, they tell you about eye contact, all of these things. And all of these things will come naturally. You don't have to calculate it in your head. You don't have to go through in your head of all the lines you need to do, of all the things you need to do. Because when you start doing that, again, it becomes inauthentic. You become some kind of, I don't know, this false wannabe guy who's always trying to pick up girls. The truth is, if you're someone who wants to be in a relationship, you want to find the perfect partners for you, the ideal partners for you, you have to learn to be more authentic. And to be authentic requires you to be in the moment, to be present. Especially if you have more subconscious beliefs and fears such as people pleasing, if you're scared of rejection, because if you're not present, those fears, those anxiety, those panic attacks, all of these will flow up, and you'll be no longer able to control them as much as you would be if you were more present. So I can go even more deep into this, but let's leave it at that. Tip number 1, be more present, because it will allow you to be more authentic. So tip number 2 is lead. Lead on your dates. And what that means is not be dominating. It doesn't mean be the alpha male and put the other person down and make sure they know that you're in power. It's nothing to do with that. What it essentially means is lead. Plan the date, plan what you want to do, invite the other person, and they might say yes, they might say no, but offer them the option and lead. When you're on the date, tell them where you're going, lead them to that place. Maybe you're meeting at the station, maybe you're meeting at the bar, restaurant, wherever you want to go, but make sure they know, tell them the time, and just lead from there. Sometimes this does not always work. Of course, you might get flaked on, the person might not show up, but equally, it will allow you to start leading, and as you start doing this, you will start building more confidence within yourself. You will start creating more purpose in yourself, because all of a sudden you're like, we're going there, and essentially, if you want to get even more deeper into this, you'll bring out and start practicing your masculine energy. And again, this is often linked to being powerful, being dominating, and yes, leading can essentially show those attributes of you being in control, you being in power, but it's not about that. It's just about you leading the date, because often women will have multiple people messaging them, they'll have multiple people lined up, they might have other people who they want to date. They also might be unsure themselves. They might be like, actually, I don't know if I like this person. Do I want to go on a date with this person? And if you've essentially thrown the ball in their court and been like, you have to plan the date, they might have other things going on in their lives and they might not prioritize you at all. And unfortunately, that is a dating game, especially online. So what you need to do is just be like, look, are you free on this date at this time? Let's go here, and I'll meet you at the station, or I'll meet you at the bar, or wherever you want to go. But the more you practice this, the more you'll find a lot more people will say yes to you. You'll make it less harder for them to overthink, and they'll be like, you know what, let's go on this date. It might work, it might not. And like I said, again, a lot of you who are fearful of rejection, being abandoned, all of these things, yes, it may happen, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't practice this, because the more you practice this, and on top of this, more you go deeper into this fears of, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, you'll find that you'll be able to move more forward, and those fears will start to fade away, and gradually you'll be able to expose yourself and push yourself in the direction of being more confident and leading and overcoming that fear of rejection. So tip number 2 is start leading on your date. Start leading in the messages that you're giving, and even on a day-to-day basis. If you like someone, start leading yourself towards that person and tell them maybe you like them, and they might say no. It is what it is. Not everyone's gonna like you. It may be your delivery, maybe other things, yes, but equally, at least you've done it, at least you've got it as a system. And on top of this, if you practice being present as well, boom, all of a sudden you come across as authentic, a natural leader, as more confident, and this will rub off 10 times better on your dates. So tip number 2, lead. Tip number 3, a weird tip number 3, is have the intention of having fun. What this means is a lot of times we go into dates, we pile a lot of pressure on ourselves. We see we need to make sure this is right, make sure this is right. And when we're doing that, it piles a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we can forget what to say. We can stop being present. We can go into our heads a lot. And so instead, focus on having fun. This does not mean you start cracking jokes and try and be a comedian and make the other person laugh consistently. This does not mean you make a joke out of yourself, and it doesn't mean that you have to make the person laugh continuously and you have to keep smiling. What this essentially means is go on the date like you're going out with a friend and have fun. Have fun. And if you've never had fun before, well, that's something you have to start learning for yourself. So go on dates by yourself. Go on solo dates where you go and experiment with different things and learn to have fun. Because the more you can have fun on dates, the more you'll be at more ease, the more person in front of you will be more at ease, and they'll be more willing to trust you. The rapport will be built more easily between you two, and you can bond more easily. The chemistry will fly up more easily as well. And yes, sometimes the way you have fun may not be the way the other person has fun, and if there is a clash, if there is a misalignment there, then either both of you can try and understand the other person, or maybe it's not the right person for you, but at least you've had fun. At least you've had the intention to have fun. Because when you go out there and you're trying to have fun, you might start cracking jokes that aren't funny. You might be forcing jokes that aren't funny. And so have the intention of having fun from the get-go. And when you're on the date, be present. And if you've never done this before, it's gonna sound weird. Yes, you'll be like, what is this guy talking about? But essentially think of it this way. Before you go out, have a seat somewhere, meditate for 10 minutes. If you've never done meditation, check out my other videos. Start practicing meditation where you're grounding yourself, taking deep breaths in, breathing out, and you're learning to be more in the present. And then as you're doing that, and as you're more calmer, before you leave the house, just tell yourself, my intention on this date, my goal of this date, if you will, is to have fun and just be calm, present, and authentic. And as you start practicing that, what you'll find is more and more people who are aligned to you, who accept your type of fun more, will start coming towards you. You'll be attracting those type of people more and more. Yes, initially you may not, but as you start practicing it more and more, and you start being clear that this is the type of person I want to be. I want to be fun. I want to be present. I want to be myself. The more you start doing that, one, you'll start building more confidence within yourself. And as you start doing that, the person who is ideal for you will start showing up more and more. So that's tip number 3. Have the intention of having fun before you date and also whilst on your dates. And some of you who are listening to this, in my head I'm thinking, maybe you're goofy, maybe you think of yourself as a nerd and you think, I want to be that person who's confident, who's loud, who's an extrovert, who's able to lead on their dates, and I'm not that person. And that's okay. The question you have to ask yourself is, do you enjoy the things that you do in your life? Do you enjoy games? Do you enjoy the stuff you do? And if you do enjoy that, fantastic. Start from that place. Don't try force yourself to be someone who's going out and gymming all the time and being an extrovert and being loud, because although at some point it's good to explore that side of yourself, when you start forcing it on yourself, it becomes inauthentic. So come from the place and accept where you are now. And if you want to be someone who goes to the gym and do all these things because that's something you're genuinely interested in, go for it. But if you're not, accept the things that you enjoy doing, own it, and from there you'll find more and more people show up who you're attracted to, who you can have fun with, and who you want to spend the rest of your life with even, will show up more and more. But when you become across as inauthentic and trying to be someone you're not, that's when the fake people will start showing up. And again, if you're someone who values growth, again, exhibit that in the way you show up. Be authentic, be present, and express that you want to be someone who grows. Express that you're someone who attends workshop on self-development, for example. And again, you will find yourself aligned to other people who also may value growth and who respect what you do. Because essentially, if you're someone who's dating and you want to find the ideal partner for you, you want someone who respects you, who accepts you for who you are, and who's allows you to grow. And when you find that person, things will be so much more easier. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not. So breathe in, be more authentic, start leading, have fun on your dates, because that's going to help you essentially find that right person for you. So my name is Jagannath, or Jag for short. If you're someone who's interested in my videos and you want to find your ideal partner for yourself, make sure you check out the links below. And more importantly, if you're single and you want to find your ideal partner, then make sure you click on the Dating on Demand diagnosis session, where I will essentially help you overcome your blocks on your dating life, give you some tips, and help you accelerate your dating essentially and find the right person for you. So make sure you click the link below, book in a session, and I'll look forward to working with you. My name's Jag.